I'd like to call the special meeting of the City Council of the City of Victorville to order. First item is public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the city? Any item? Hearing none, we'll go into item number 2, request to adopt resolution number 09071. Mr. Cox?
Mr. Mayor and Council, after the last council meeting that we talked about on the pass-through, even though there was some unhappiness and not an understanding that this is a raise by the Victor Valley Wastewater Authority, we are thus raising the fee to pass through an amount that they will be charging us. What we discovered was the list that was used is a good list, and probably a very informative list that did not meet the minimum requirements as set down by the state code. We used a user list, which, if you look at the individuals that are using it, was a large number, and in the past, I am told that there was a trigger that required that if you had the user list, you also automatically notified the property owner. I was also told that in the past there had been a setup, the way the computers were set up, that a renter could not come in and rent a facility without the property owner being notified, or without the property owner's permission. And therefore, there was the 2 names on the list, and when you had a notice of to increase the fee, there was the automatic trigger, and therefore a double shot at making sure the property owner was notified. Somewhere in merging the lists together, when the billing was merged, the policy was dropped, or the computer dropped, I'm not sure which, and that the renter or the user or the person signed up for the service would be notified, but the property owner did not get notified unless the property owner actually occupied the property and had owned the property. I want to clarify that we are checking those lists, and I know that they're checking them now, because some individuals who were property owners and occupied the property said that they did not get notified. We're specifically checking those because under the system we use, they should have, and there's no reason that they should not have. In the situation where the user had signed up, the renter, yes, they did get notified. There is no requirement that that renter notify the property owner if the property owner didn't occupy the property or hadn't signed up and on their list, then they probably did not get notified. So I apologize that that happened. There was no way that council could have known that. While there are those people very quick to shoot at the council, I invite them to shoot at me instead. It's administration's responsibility to ensure that the law is complied with. It's administration's responsibility to assure the council that the law is complied with. And it's administration's responsibility in this kind of a situation to ensure that we use the last equalized assessment roll, and that the last equalized assessment roll is the roll that we send out the notices. Not to make excuses, the council should be aware that we will comply. We will use the last equalized assessment roll, and you will have a large number of people who will say that they did not get notified, and they will be telling you the truth, because the last equalized assessment roll is equalized once a year, signed and forwarded to the state. While it is updated, the county does not have a computer system that updates it that often, and so where you have a large number of housing and property changing ownership, the last equalized assessment roll will not reflect that. But we will follow the state law. We will do our best. We will be in compliance, and I apologize, council, and to the citizens of having to go through this and having to go through it again. We do have to go through it again to make it right, because it's the right thing to do. Unfortunately, it's going to cost money to do it, and it's about a 3-month delay because we start all over. I'm available to answer any questions. Staff is available for any questions. I can only tell you that we will pay closer attention to detail, to every detail on every issue, as best as we can, and this shouldn't have happened. It did. there's a lot of reasons, but it sounds like excuses, and I would not want to go into that right now.
I don't have any questions, but I would make this comment in response to what Mr. Cox just said. I don't think it's productive. I certainly am not interested in seeing you throw yourself on the sword, trying to beat up on staff. I mean, it is a terribly unfortunate situation. No question about that. But I don't think it's productive to try and put blame. You're right. I'm surprised we didn't get beat up already in the newspaper, to be honest with you. A lot of things going on in the city. Everybody's juggling 1,000,001 different balls, and some of them are going to drop. I mean, it's an easier, softer ball to drop than this one. But it does raise the question, again, in my mind, and I bet in everybody else's mind. When are we going to have the billing situation? Not the same as the merged water bills between the two districts, but it's symptomatic of obviously major flaws, processing of the bills and the mailing and whatever computer lists are being generated and used. I realize that finances are probably constraining a rapid fix, but I suspect before this week's over, we're all going to be asked, when do we see light at the end of the tunnel so these kinds of glitches don't occur? And I'm not expecting you to give me an immediate answer right here on the spot, Jim, but you know, at some point, I'd like to have some assurance that a date is in the wings where we have turned the corner and won't have these kinds of glitches occurring time and time again.
You're absolutely right. I think the council and the public in general deserve an answer on these things. Believe we know what the solution is, and we are starting with our reorganization to do that. I don't want to go into the details with this. Number one, it's lengthy, but number two, we don't really know for sure how this is going to work. We think we have worked out the blocks that we're going to make. And even though there's been tremendous improvement, I think Carol Lee will attest to that, tremendous improvement and less problems and less numbers here, we still have some glitches that can only be cured by a new system. That's what the answer is. We'll get dates and times and costs as soon as we possibly can. I trek down to the building department regularly, and for people who are here, you know that the numbers are less and the complaints are less, and they've gone a long way in resolving the issues, but they'll only be resolved with a new system.
I agree with Terry that, you know, there have been some changes and happen from time to time. We do need to get those fixed. But I don't think that our city manager should throw himself on the sword for that because, you know, it was something that happened. We all voted on it. I would just apologize, and the people aren't here, but those 4 or 5 or 6 individuals that were here that night that were waiving the notices, and I was so confident that we had used the assessor's roll. In fact, when I turned to the attorney, and I said, you know, the normal explanation is we used the latest version of the assessment roll, and so sometimes they don't get noticed because it's not, you know, it's kind of late. It's only done once a year, I believe. But I would like to apologize to those people. You know, what they went through here with us. I want to apologize for the disruption and having the gentleman removed from the chambers here, but for not really, well, listening, but not really paying attention. We thought we were correct, and we weren't.
The old adage, to err is human, to forgive is
exactly. And so I would entertain a motion. Adopt resolution number 09071.
I'll move approval.
For adjournment?
Change your vote? I won't, no, never.
Just setting the time. I didn't say I changed my vote.